Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to your Live Accounts webinar this afternoon. My name is David Wilson, and I'm going to be your presenter today. So today's webinar is all about recommending live accounts. So this has been tied into our overall AccountRight Live launch, which was made available late last week for our flagship product for our AccountRight desktop program. Today's is all about live accounts, which sort of ties into it because it has a different approach from a cloud computing point of view, and it does talk about how how Live Accounts is a browser-based solution which can be accessed from any internet connection anywhere. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about a couple of different approaches that MYOB have taken to cloud computing and where Live Accounts sits in this. We'll also talk about how to become a live advisor, and I'll take you through those steps when we get into the demonstration itself. How to actually set yourself up as a live advisor so that you can go ahead and we'll also have a look at what's known as the Live Accounts dashboard. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about who Live Accounts is suitable for, so all of the pros that you see with the Live Accounts program, the advantages, what it offers, that sort of information. We'll also spend a little bit of time talking about who it's potentially not designed for. So I think it's important from a partner point of view to be 100% aware exactly who the program is designed for, and I suppose at that end, the limitations that you may experience and where it sits in the overall suite of MYOB programs that are available. There are a number of resources available for the Live Accounts program, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time at the conclusion just showing you how we can go about getting those. So this run of webinars throughout the series, right up until Christmas, has been tied around the AccountRight Live launch. So the AccountRight Live launch is really more talking about our flagship desktop program and its transition into the live environment. To supplement that, we've also had the webinars, one of which is today, around Live Accounts, and the other one will be on Friday, which will be repeated as well, which is all about the program itself. As part of the AccountRight Live launch, we also have technical support available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you do have any of those tricky questions on the weekend, we are certainly there to assist. And with that, I think we have covered off on all the formalities or the introduction. For those that have joined us for some of those previous webinars, you would see that the introduction is very similar across all of them, but this is where we start to differentiate and where we get in and have a look at Live Accounts as a program, as a standalone program, and some of the benefits that we have therein. So I suppose just to give some context or some perspective on the two different approaches that AccountRight Live and Live Accounts offer, I wanted to spend just the briefest amount of time talking about cloud computing. Now there are a number of different approaches to the online world and the best way to, I suppose, leverage the power of the cloud. From an MYOB perspective, we've got the two main methodologies in the back end that we sort of have a look at, and the first one is software plus a service. So essentially what that means is software plus a service combines the historic use of a desktop program or an application that's installed on the desktop, combining that with the internet. Now what it does offer flexibility in the sense that it does mean if an internet connection is perhaps disabled or you're in a location where the internet connection is not as strong as perhaps it could be, then it does have the flexibility to work online and offline, or both. And if we look outside of MYOB, a good example of that is the way that iTunes work, or of course Outlook. I use Outlook because I think most people would be familiar with Outlook. So if you picture from an Outlook point of view, even if you are offline, you can still sign into your own Outlook account, have a look at your historical emails. You can obviously create some, but they won't actually be sent until you have an internet connection. From an MYOB point of view, this is where our AccountRight Live program sits. So that's the one that's just been launched, and that's the one that does rely on the installation of the program on the workstation that you want to access it, and it will then combine that with the power of the internet. The second methodology that I wanted to touch on is known as software as a service. And this is what today is all about. This is what the program that we'll be having a look at in terms of Live Accounts and how we're setting it up. This is where Live Accounts fits in. So the beauty of having a program that is software as a service is that it is purely web browser driven. So what it essentially means is that it doesn't matter if it's a device, it doesn't matter if it's a laptop, a Macintosh, a PC, you can actually click in and access your accounts at any stage. So that's where our Live Accounts program does sit. It is purely browser driven, and of course you're not required to have the application installed on any workstation, just purely have that internet connection up and running to be able to access it. So if we move outside of MYOB for a moment, if you think in the real world, something along the lines of Gmail or Hotmail, which is a purely browser-based driven mail client, is how it functions in the same regard. So of course Live Accounts fits into this, and that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. So I guess let's have a look at Live Accounts itself. Where does it fit in, and what I suppose are some of the key features of it? Who's it designed for, and who's going to get the most out of it? So we'll try to break this down and try to keep it as simple as possible, which I think is one of the key components of Live Accounts. Stripping it back and keeping it as simple as possible. So we are looking for clients that are small with simple processes, people such as sole traders who don't want to necessarily have to have a laptop computer where they go ahead and install programs. They want to just simply be able to open up their workstation, enter their invoice, get it done, and move on. Obviously startups, and what I mean by startups are those smaller people that come to you as a bookkeeper or a consultant that are looking to just get started in there. It doesn't matter if it's a retail world, it doesn't matter what their industry is, but just getting the program up and running or getting a data file up and running and just having that capability to have a simple set of accounts, a simple payroll that they can manage, and of course their simple way of tracking their expenses and income coming in. Of course, that flows on to smaller businesses as well. I've used the term before, or sole traders. Of course, they don't need to be sole traders because Live Accounts does have a payroll module within it. So that if you do have clients that are quite small and they only have a handful of employees that may require payment, then of course Live Accounts is suitable for them as well. And of course, deep down, they only need a simple accounting solution. So that's exactly what Live Accounts is designed for. That's simple, easy to manage, easy to get into, don't have to worry about their debits and credits. And for those that joined us at Partner Connection, Susan Teschner, one of our product managers, made a great call. And she said Live Accounts is really designed for those people that don't know their debits and credits and they have no interest in their debits and credits. It really is a very simple, simplistic approach to what can be quite a complex business industry. So you can see that's who Live Accounts is essentially designed for, with the above in mind. Of course, one of the key components of that is the ability to have or to access their accounts at anywhere, anytime. What I mean by that is, you heard me speak during the introduction talking about the difference between the software as a service and the software plus a service. Being a software as a service model, it does mean that you can literally, or your clients and yourselves can access these set of accounts at any stage as long as you have an internet connection. And of course, that sort of fits into the bill as a lot of, not just accounting solutions, but of course banking and other industries have moved a lot of their software online. This is for those that do feel comfortable moving into that online environment, that have that capability and that need to be able to access access those accounts at any stage. Sort of stole my own thunder a little bit there. As you can see, it really is designed for businesses that don't necessarily know those debits, know those credits, and it really is, and I do sound a little bit like a broken record here, but it really is quite easy to use, and that's exactly the way that it has been designed. It's also steered clear of and it gets a bit lost in a webinar because I'm using the inverted commas, that accounting jargon that can sometimes, I suppose, rear its head when you're having a look at some alternative programs. And of course, the flip side to that is it's also important for these people, and I suppose their needs, to be aware that they don't necessarily want to have to tailor their reports. They just want a simple set of reports to be able to go in and see their profit and loss or see their balance sheet. They don't necessarily like the full, rich accounting solution that perhaps an AccountWrite Plus or a Premier offers, where you've got the vast array of reports located within there. They just want a simple set of reports to be able to get their simple set of data in a simple manner to make it abundantly clear exactly where the business is tracking. This one's fairly important as well because it really does fit into an area where a lot of people don't necessarily like having to go through the software update procedure, either removing the old piece of software and installing it locally, or alternatively even installing it at all. The beauty of Live Accounts and that software as a service is for that exact reason, that you don't require to do any updates. It's all done online. So all of the business logic and all of the data file, I keep referring to it as data file, but the information, the data is stored within the cloud itself. So what that means is every time they log in, they've essentially got the most up-to-date data on the most up-to-date product that is available. It also takes out the equation to have to worry about, and as we start to to move, well, we're a bit far away from it yet, and I don't want to jump the gun, but as we move towards the end of financial year, when obviously compliance time hits, that's when people can get a little bit stressed. And the beauty of live accounts with its simple payroll does offer the ability to go through and not have to worry about loading those tax tables, having to do a uninstall or reinstall of any software whatsoever. And of course, those that are new to accounting software. So you can see who this is going to be from your point of view. If you do have clients that are brand new to accounting software and they may potentially be coming from an Excel spreadsheet, for instance, they may just simply have the invoices and expenses to be able to go through and manage their business, and that's where Live Accounts is 100% designed to assist. So it really is just making that transition from a spreadsheet into the accounting online world a little bit easier, and of course having the capabilities to do that in a very, very simplistic fashion. And of course, with the price point, it's also important to be aware that some clients may not feel that they necessarily want to outlay for what they deem as a large accounting package. At $25 a month with no minimum term does give them that capability to get a feel for it and to come into this online world. So we're seeing who Live Accounts is specifically designed for. I just wanted to spend a little bit of time, and I do think this is vitally important, especially from a consultant and a bookkeeping point of view, just to be clear about who Live Accounts is not designed for. So Live Accounts, as I said, you sort of heard during the introduction when we were talking about the clients that Live Accounts, I suppose, is designed for. Large businesses with sophisticated needs probably won't find Live Accounts as the ideal solution. The reason being is that it doesn't cater to businesses with requirements that you might historically associate with, say, a Premier or a Premier Enterprise product. Things such as multiple warehousing capabilities, locations, multi-currency, all that sort of information. Those capabilities aren't in Live Accounts, and to be perfectly frank, they're not likely to be in Live Accounts at any stage either. For that full inventory solution, we do have other offerings, and that's where our AccountWrite Plus standard with the full inventory module does kick in. So you can see, I think it's very important to get that grasp of and set the expectation from a client point of view on exactly what Live Accounts is capable of, and just as importantly, what it's not capable of. Again, being a software as a service and being purely online, it really isn't designed for literally hundreds and hundreds of transactions that may potentially be keyed daily. It is a web browser application that refreshes every time the transaction is keyed. So that means that if you have literally hundreds and hundreds of invoices on a day-to-day basis, it may be worthwhile investigating in one of our desktop solutions at that point. It is also, again, important to be aware that Live Accounts doesn't track stock or inventory. So what I mean by that is that we can't actually go in and have that full inventory tracking that you may have seen or you may be used to from a standard Plus or Premier point of view, where you can actually keep track of your inventory values and then run your inventory value reconciliation reports, as well as seeing the exact amount the exact value of the stock that you hold at any stage. Again, Live Accounts isn't really designed with that in mind. It is very basic where you can have your items in there, but they won't keep track of the stock itself. So there's no way to, if you picture you're setting your I buy, I sell, I inventory, aspects such as those aren't available in Live Accounts. And again, you heard me mention, as you move up the MYOB chain, offerings such as Standard, Plus and Premier, they are going to have the capabilities to have the inventory module in there. It's also, and we sort of touched on this a moment ago, it's also important to be aware that if you do have clients that really want to slice and dice their data, and I know that that's a bit of an element of low-key jargon as such, but to really get in and manipulate the data, to send it out to Excel, all that sort of thing, again, Live Accounts probably isn't going to be the solution that's going to be perfect for them. Might be a great starting point, but as they sort of progress or as these needs become, it is important to be aware that a lot of I suppose, what you're used to from an account right point of view is not necessarily available in live accounts, and nor is it designed to be. And it is very, very important to be aware, as we stand today, there is no way that we can tailor reports or sync live accounts to third-party software. I can say that there are movements in that regard, such as an API that will be designed for live accounts, but as we speak here and now today in sort of mid-November, there's no way to use a third-party software to sync into your live accounts data as well. So again, just something to be upfront and honest to set that expectation about what live accounts can actually do. So we've seen who it's designed for. We've seen really who it's not designed for. So what does it actually do? What does Live Accounts offer? Our second webinar in the Live Accounts series, we will go into the program and have a look at each of these in a lot more detail. But Live Accounts does have the capabilities for those small businesses to be able to create invoices. You can go through, you can track your expenses, you can manage your GST. There is, of course, a small payroll functionality in there, which I think is fantastic for those small clients that have one or two staff potentially, especially those with casual staff. And again, it's a very basic payroll. By no means is it as feature-rich as the payroll that you see in AccountWrite Plus. But of course, it does all of the, I suppose, the key components for you. Things such as tracking your PAYG, your super, and there has been now, of course, some leave entitlements that have been added across Australia and New Zealand. One of the key features of Live Accounts, and something that has been introduced into our AccountWrite Live program now, is of course the ability to have those automatic bank feeds come straight into your program or straight into your data. Again, making a procedure or making the data entry side of things significantly easier. Again, that is, we'll have a look at all of these when we have a look at the program itself, which is in the second of these webinars. It's also multi-user, so being a browser-based program or software as a service, of course that means that you can have simultaneous access to the data records. So at the moment it is currently set to virtually unlimited. You can have as many people as you want into the data at any one stage. So you as a partner, or perhaps the accountant, or perhaps the end user, can all be accessing that data at the same time as long as you all have an internet connection. So again, we've sort of had a bit of an introduction to the world of Live Accounts. You've seen what it does, I suppose what it doesn't do, how much does all of that cost. So your Live Accounts, which is inclusive of the payroll, comes to a total of $25 a month. So that is inclusive of all of the modules. There's no restriction to the number of bank reconciliations or invoices that you do go ahead and create. There's no restriction to the bank feeds coming through. As long as the bank link has been set up and the financial institution is listed, then that feed will come through into the data file, or I keep referring to it as a data file, but into the data that's in the cloud. And again, all of that is essentially $25 a month. So just to summarise, I suppose I just wanted to spend a little bit of time here talking about how far Live Accounts has come. I know a lot of partners would have seen Live Accounts a few years ago, potentially at Partner Connection when it was first launched. Had a look at it, thought maybe that's not for me, or maybe I'll give it a little bit of time. I would recommend to come back and have a look, because you as a partner are certainly entitled to have one of your, or have a free data file or one free set of accounts that you can activate and use. So I would strongly recommend just to go in and get a feel for it, because it does fit into the broad offering of our AccountWrite Live suite of products. So you do have that pure browser-based program available that sort of works as a supplement or works to the side of our AccountWrite Live offering, which leverages the power of the desktop and the cloud itself. So in terms of a summary for our Live Accounts, and we're about to go in and have a look at how we sign ourselves up as an advisor and so forth, but before we do that, it is important to be aware that yes, Live Accounts is certainly an entry-level program. At the moment, again, as we stand here today, there is no transition from Live Accounts to, say, AccountWrite Basics or Standard, but that is something that we will certainly be addressing. We have received a lot of feedback about that the partners do see that as quite a large barrier, so we will certainly be having a look at making a utility available where you'll be able to upgrade a file from Live Accounts into the other suite of AccountWrite programs. really bringing them all into sync with each other at that point. That is on the cards, but certainly something that's not available as we speak here today. I also think it's important to be aware that in terms of registrations here at MYOB, we are seeing a huge number of new registrations coming through into our live accounts offering, and that's why I think it's important for our partners to be aware of the opportunity that is out there for this browser-based software. Roughly, it does vary, but roughly between 20 and 25% of new clients to MYOB are actually registering for the live account software. So I think it is important from from a partner aspect, just to be across all of the offerings that are available, just in case you do have any of those smaller clients that this might be suitable for. The idea of the live accounts as a software as a service also opens up the ability to deliver constant delivery cycles. So what that means is as updates are required, and a great example of that is around, say, the contractor payments that were introduced for this year, for the 2012-2013 year, we were actually able to go through and get that set up and get that one out, or how it's going to work. Obviously, we're still waiting for some portions of it to be finalised from an ATO point of view, but again, the constant cycle of development that we have with live accounts means that we'll be able to put that work into it and make it available virtually straight away. I'd also like to share, because the Live Accounts team is very proud of this, and again, this is something that Susan Teschner did reiterate during our recent Partner Connection run, and that's that the client satisfaction with the program itself and what we call our Net Promoter Score has doubled in the last 12 months. So that means that it has gone very well, and they're really starting to see the benefits of moving to that online world, as well as, I suppose, it's a reflection on how far the program itself has come with the delivery of things such as payroll. So we've started to see the program itself. You've seen a little bit of, I suppose, information around it, and as I touched on, we do have that dedicated webinar where we'll go into the program in a lot more detail. But today's all about, I suppose, arming you with the information to recommend live accounts and how you go about as a partner, setting yourself up as a live advisor to ensure you get the full benefits as well. So Live Accounts Advisor is I suppose, really someone who may have potentially clients that are using live accounts, and you may want to be able to access multiple accounts or manage them from one area. So what that Live Accounts what a Live Accounts Advisor gives you, and it is free of charge, is the capability to manage those through your own Live Accounts Admin Center, which I'm going to show you in a moment. You also get access to materials that will help you and potentially your staff learn a lot more about live accounts. So again, I'll show you where we can access a lot of those materials when we have a look at the resources a little bit later. That flows into some of the tools that you can also use to help promote it if you wanted to. And of course, there is a rewards program that you can set yourself up with as well. So I think we've had enough of the slide deck. As I said, we've gone through all the introduction side. Let's go in and I'll show you firsthand how we go about setting yourself up as a live advisor. So all I've done, I've opened up a web browser and I'm just looking at the home site for MYOB. So I'm just going to show you how easy it is for us to sign up, and this can be done without any prior knowledge. This can be done essentially right now, today, and it is a very quick turnaround for you to get set up as a live advisor. All you need to do is from the website, you've got partners at the top, and we'll be coming back to this area for the Partner Resource Centre as well. Once we've hit partners, if we scroll down, you see a little link just on the left-hand side here saying Live Accounts Advisor. This Live Accounts, and you see it's got a brief description just on the right there, just saying Live Accounts allows you to work effectively with your smaller business clients online. So let's click in. And you can see here, you just simply need to click the little link to become a Live Accounts Advisor. There is, of course, some information just below that, and I will go back a step because it was just filling out. You can see you've got a video here that does talk about becoming a Live Accounts Advisor and talking about the Live Accounts Admin Center. And you've also got a few links that talk about what it's actually going to give you in terms of your tools and materials. So just important to bookmark those and be aware. But to actually become the advisor, we simply click the little green button. And this is where we enter all of our details in. So you can see it's a very straightforward procedure. We just simply need to put in your first name, last name, your email, phone number, the details that you want to, I suppose, be logging in. So your username, which might be david.wilson or lauren.burchett, for instance. Of course, your password. Then confirm your password. Pop in your business name. And if you are an existing MYOB client / partner and you wanted to sign up for the rewards program, you would simply pop your serial number into that screen. Then down the bottom here, you've got the little option to enter the characters that you see here, and this is really just to show that you're not a robot or anything like that, that you are a human signing up to this screen. Signing up to become a live advisor. Once done, you simply select I agree with terms of use, sign me up. You're essentially now a live advisor. You will receive an email, and to your email address that you did put in, that email will have a link on it that you do need to click, and once you have done that, you will essentially be set up as a live advisor. So I'm just going to go back a step, because I set myself up a little bit earlier on. So again, straight from the website, you see I've got the ability on the top right-hand side here to sign in. I go down, and this is where we can sign into my.myb, the community forum if we wanted to, your partner resource centre. But in this case, we're going to have a look at signing in to live accounts. So just simply select sign in. I set mine up a little bit earlier. And what we're now looking at here is the MYOB Live Accounts Admin Centre. So what you can see on the left here are the business names that are essentially my clients. So here's one that I created earlier, and that was for, I suppose, in recognition of Lauren's great work, and he's setting up one for Lauren's webinar services. You see I also put the phone number in, which may look a bit familiar to a lot of people. And you can see I've got what's called a little handshake icon here, which will give me the ability to transfer the ownership of this company. Now the reason why that's there, and we're going to have a look at this in a bit more detail in a moment, is because this is a data center, I suppose, that I have set up. So you as the partner can come in here, set files up on behalf of your clients, and then essentially hand them over to them once they're ready to take over, or once you're confident and comfortable that you've either given sufficient training or they need to be able to get in and access their files at their own discretion. So we'll have a look at that in a moment, but let's just have a look today, because I think one of the most common features, or one of the most common scenarios that you'll come across is setting up a file on behalf of a client. So on the right-hand side here, you'll see that you've got getting started as an advisor. You've got a little link here, which we'll have a look at a bit later when we talk about the resources. And you've also got your advisor center help. You do have the ability to add a new business, which is what we're going to do in just one moment, or invite a business, or potentially request access to a file that you have either just taken on, or an existing file that they're looking for you to assist with. You can also then go in, and if you do have any unaccepted invitations, you can go in to view and remove any invitations that have been sent that may not have been accepted yet. As I said, for the purposes of today, let's have a look at adding a new business. So I simply click the hyperlink, and let's just set this one up. You simply then pick what it is, if you sell products and services, building and construction and so forth. I'm just going to say services. Happy to create default accounts for that business type. If there is the serial number here, then you'd pop it in, and then you've got the ability to open this business now. So I'm going to select Add Business. You can see straight away on the left-hand side, once my screen refreshes, you would have seen that coming through, and it's taking me in to the Setup Assistant for my live accounts. So it's now telling me I've just got a few steps that I do need to complete before I can go ahead and start getting into the program itself. So step 1, I need to enter my business details, and step 2, I do also need to set up my GST settings. That's why I think it's important from a partner point of view that you're aware of this, because I think this is where, as a partner, you can give the most amount of guidance to ensure that that file, or the set of books, has been set up correctly from the start. So I'm simply going to select Next there, and you can see some of the generic information that I entered from that splash screen has flowed through. So that is spell check, which is all one word, bit of irony there. And of course you've got my business type. Am I registered for GST? Let's say hypothetically yes I am. Taxable repayment reporting. So am I required, do I work in the building and construction industry? If I did, I would simply place a tick here. If I don't, which obviously is a spell check, I don't necessarily have to do that, so I'll leave that out. I also then simply need to put my ABN in. So I've just kept it nice and generic. Put the phone number in. Email address. Just mine. And then, of course, your generic information down the bottom. Postal address, which is the same, and simply click on Next. Again, nice and straightforward. I think we all know how to go through and enter that generic information in. Step 2, this is where I suppose we're setting up our core capabilities from a GST point of view. So how do I want to account for my GST when I'm recording sales and banking transactions? Are we doing it on a cash basis or an accrual basis, or if we're from New Zealand, are we doing it on a payments or an invoicing basis? And again, you can see I've got the option here to pick whatever it is. What's my reporting frequency? Monthly, quarterly, annually, and of course my due dates. So I'm happy with the defaults. I'm on a cash basis. I do it quarterly. Due dates, calculate GST and report quarterly, we're happy with. And if you click the drop-down box here, talking about my BAS lodgement method, I've got the ability to pick what I do. So I'm happy to just say, yes, I lodge by paper. Most people, if they're dealing with you, would probably lodge by the business portal or ECI, but we'll just go with paper to keep it simple. And then it gives me the dates down the bottom. I simply click Finish. And I've now got the basics set up for my live accounts done. So I can, of course, go in and enter my unpaid invoices, unpaid expenses, details of contacts, details of my items. So remembering that I can still sell the items, even though I can't keep track of my inventory. And of course, if you wanted to set up for BankLink and so forth. That's what we'll cover off on the next webinar. We'll go through all of that information about getting into the Live Accounts program and having a look at how all of those features and functions actually work. But for the purposes of today, we're happy we've just simply got that one set up. I can see on the left-hand side, not only do I have Lauren's webinar services, which I set up last time, but I've also got that Dave spell check file, which has now been created. And if I'm prepared and ready, which I'm not just yet, but let's say hypothetically I was prepared to hand this file over, because remember I've still got a little bit of work to do in the next webinar, I would simply click the handshake icon here, and then I'll get the little message coming up, are you sure you want to transfer ownership of this business? I click OK, and you'll see on the right hand side here, it gives me the area which I can fill out who I want to transfer the ownership of this business to. So I just simply fill out all of that information, the first name, the last name, and of course the important email address. That person will then receive an email at their end confirming that the transfer of ownership has come through, and they'll be able to go through and invite me to I'll still be able to go in and access those files. So even though me as a partner, I've set it up, I've done all the hard yards there, I can still go ahead and transfer that ownership of the file very, very easily, simply by doing it through the Live Accounts Advisor dashboard. So you can see how easy we've set that up. Not only in the last 20 minutes have we set ourselves up as an advisor, but we've also created our very first Live Accounts file. So you can see how easy that was just in that 20 minutes to be able to go through and get ourselves set up. But of course, the second part of this webinar is about the resources that are available to assist you in becoming a Live Accounts Advisor, and of course, as you go down that journey of recommending clients. So your Live Accounts Advisor section, and we had you heard during the introduction, we have another webinar talking about what's referred to as the Partner Resource Centre. This is a location on our website, which is, the way I like to position it, is a one-stop shop for you as a partner to be able to go in and have a look at any number or a wealth of information across the entire suite of MYOB programs. I'm going to take you into that section, and we're going to be able to see, we can have a look at some of the getting started information, some of the promotional information. So a lot of the hard work's done for you. All of it's there, the copy or the content, and it's just up to you to then move it into whichever mechanism or medium that you wanted to send it out to your clients. A lot of the hard work is taken care of for you from a promotional point of view. There's some sample wording there which you can feel free to use in your newsletters, emails, websites, or anything that you, I suppose, use to speak to your clients or communicate with your clients. Of course, there's a full listing of all of the banks that are available for bank feeds, some FAQs, and just about all of it is in what's in a PDF format, so you can download it and save it and use it at your own discretion. So let's go in, let's have a look at the Partner Resource Centre. So you can see at the top, I'm just simply going into MYOB or www.myob.com.au at this point. Obviously the NZ, those that are joining us from New Zealand, is slightly different, but it's the same principle to be able to access the area that I'm referring to. So you can see again, I've just gone straight into my.myb, I've gone straight to myob.com.au. Again, got my Partners tab just on the top middle here, which I simply click. And you can see on the right here, I do have my partner resources that are available for me straight away. So if I click into here, simply go ahead and pop your serial number into here, and then depending on your level of membership will dictate some of the information that's available to you. For the purposes of today, we're just going to be having a look at the Live Accounts Advisor material. And you saw me just click that on the left-hand side. And it's just coming up now where we saw that video a little bit earlier. So on the left here, we've got Getting Started, we've got Promotional, Sample Wording, the list of banks. So if I click Getting Started, you'll see that it talks about any number of information or any number of PowerPoints and PDFs that are available. So I've got an implementation checklist that talks about a number of tasks to consider to get you and your staff potentially educated about live accounts. Again, you've got the PDF available, covering off some of what I covered today in the presentation, which is who Live Accounts is designed for. You've also got a PowerPoint presentation, which you can download here. Instructions for your client, so a fact sheet, so you can then forward on if you wanted to, or put together a kit. If you did have potential, like a show bag, for lack of a better term, an online show bag, that you can send out information to your clients. We've also got the product comparison chart. Now, I think this is important, again, from that expectation point of view, just to ensure that for those clients that are coming to live accounts, and especially those partners that are experiencing live accounts for the first time, just to be aware of some of the limitations that you may experience. And it's certainly not designed to be a full functioning version of AccountRight. It is separate and designed totally separately. And of course, you've got some FAQs just around the live accounts program there. So that was all under your Getting Started section on the left-hand side. As we move down, you'll see Promotional. And this is where you, again, that kit that I was referring to a little bit earlier, you can go through and have a look or download your flyer, which is in a PDF, fact sheet. You've got a client seminar presentation. So again, you can add your own logo to that potentially, or you can manipulate it at your end, but all of the core content is essentially there. And then it's just entirely at your discretion to add bits and pieces or ad-lib on areas that you feel need to be either expanded or decreased. Of course, you've got some FAQs there. Moving down to our sample wording. This is where I was referring to if you do have a newsletter or a number of clients that you send it out to, we've got some sample wording in there, as well as email or website information that you wanted to put on. We've got a logo, an official Live Accounts logo that's available for use at this point. And from a reference point of view, you've got the full listing of banks, both Australia and New Zealand, or the financial institutions that we can get the bank link feed from. The final one is, I suppose, more an overview of the Live Accounts area, and that you can see just under the additional materials. We've got the Live Accounts FAQ for accountants. Probably the most important one for today is the Live Accounts FAQs for certified consultants and bookkeepers, which I've already got open, so I'm just going to show you exactly what that looks like. It is just a PDF, which I have opened up. And you can see here, it just works our way through. I'm just going to scroll back to the top. Works our way through a number of different key questions that do get raised about the Live Accounts offering. What it is, what sort of business does it suit? Again, you can start to see where a lot of the information comes from. So all of this is available to you as it stands today. So you don't necessarily even need to sign up as an advisor to see this. As a partner, through that Partner Resource Centre, you can access all of this information, where I'd strongly recommend to go in and have a look and get a feel for the Live Accounts area. The reason why I say that is because the weight of numbers, we are seeing a huge jump in the registrations for Live Accounts, and I do think it's important for our partner channels to be across, or to be aware of that, so that you are fully aware that you've got all of this documentation and all of this I suppose, educational information available at the drop of a hat. And I also think it's a great reflection on how far the actual physical program itself has come. So I'm just going to close that PDF. And we're now, again, back at the Partner Resource Centre. So just to recap that Partner Resource Centre, it is just your standard MYOB website, so just www.myob.com.au for our Australian one. Onto the Partners tab, enter your serial number, and on the left-hand side, you'll see a number of partner resources and available with a little tab here for our live account advisor materials. So as I said, that is available for all partners to be able to get in and access entirely at your discretion. So that pretty well brings me to a conclusion of everything that I wanted to cover from purposes of this live account session. So I'm just going to close out and come back into the presentation. Just to finish off. So a big thank you to everyone for taking the time to join us today and learn a little bit more about how you can go about becoming a live accounts advisor. I hope you did get a little bit out of it, and I hope you can see how important live accounts is to the whole offering that MYOB has as we move into this online space. There is absolutely a place for live accounts, and you will start to see quite a lot of movement in terms of the integration from live accounts into the Account Right program over the next 6 months or so. I look forward to catching each and every one of you at the next webinar. Thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great afternoon.